Administrator, have you ever in your life started work anywhere without a remuneration contract?
Nope, I've never.
Have you ever in your life gotten into a work position and the person who was supposed to approve how much you must be paid doesn't send any approval, but maybe the financial officer or any office in that particular line of work decides that it's going to pay you salary? Let's say it needed a signature of a CEO, and then the CEO doesn't give a signature, then you get paid for something that is not approved.
It's never happened, but this context is exceptional, Chairperson.
All right. So when you then engaged with corporate services and said that the department is taking long to send us a contract on how much we ought to be paid, therefore we're going to start paying ourselves, which legislation were you relying on?
Obviously, I was benchmarking against the public remuneration and a salary scale.
No, not on the amount. I'm not on the amount yet. I'm on the actual, the paying yourself without the approval of the minister or the department. Which legislation did you and corporate service rely on? We'll come to the amount. Let's say you were paying yourself R1. The mere fact that you took a decision that you are now going to take money out of the CETA and deposit it into your bank account without the approval of the minister, which legislation did you and the corporate service rely on before you took that decision?
I'm not necessarily an expert on labor relations, but I will assume that the Basic Employment Act would then say if you are working, you must be remunerated.
Corporate service, did you rely on any legislation?
We considered the BCEA to say that if you work, then you need to be remunerated. But can I just state that we do not intend to defend what is wrong. We know that what we did could have been done better, and we concede on that one.
Do you consider it to be financial misconduct?
I'm not sure if I would call it a misconduct. An irregularity, yes. I'm not sure if I would call it a misconduct.
Are there any payments that require your signature in the CETA? Any payments?
Yes, I think there's a delegation to a certain amount.
Yeah, that requires signature.
Yes.
If that payment were to happen in the CETA without your signature, what would you consider that? If someone at the lower level than you would make a payment that requires your signature as corporate services without your approval, what would you consider that to be?
I would call it a misconduct.
Administrator, if someone at a lower level than you would make a payment that requires your signature and goes on to make that payment without your signature, what would you consider that to be?
It will require intervention as considered a misconduct.
So do you agree that what you did is financial misconduct?
You know, like I said, it's the exceptional circumstances warranted some unique intervention.
What exceptional circumstance? Because the legislation is clear on who ought to approve this payment. Yeah. That's why I'm trying to bring it to your space. I'm saying you now as an administrator, there are certain payments that can't be made in that CETA without your approval.
Absolutely.
You can't find out tomorrow that 500,000 has went out to pay for whatever without your signature. And then when you ask that employee at a lower level, they say to you, no, administrator, there were exceptional circumstances which require. Don't you think those circumstances should first be placed before you as the person who has to sign off this payment?
You are very correct.
So it would be misconduct to make a payment without an approval.
Context and circumstances will matter. Thank you, Chairperson.
So you don't think it's misconduct that it needs the minister's approval for you to pay yourself a salary of 3 million. You then go ahead to pay yourself the salary of 3 million without the approval of the minister. You don't consider that to be misconduct?
I'm driving the narrative of the fact that the context and the situation is exceptional.
So why do you believe that you have to pay back some of that money if you don't think there was anything wrong with what you did?
Primarily because the ministerial determination it's different from what we gathered.
But if you don't see anything wrong, you just continue from now moving forward with what the minister is saying. You shouldn't feel the need to say, perhaps I need to pay back this money, because the circumstances were so exceptional that they required you to take that decision.
Correct, Chairperson.
So the mere fact that you hold the view together with corporate services that perhaps this money must be paid back is in itself a concession that you are making that what we did here was incorrect.
No, Chairperson. I don't necessarily agree with you on that one. Like I said, that when we said it could have been offset, let's say it was less. Would it have been a problem if the government was to top up? So I think the argument is that it's more than what the ministerial determination is.
So the only thing you see wrong is that the amount is different, but you don't see anything wrong with you paying yourself a salary that requires ministerial approval without ministerial approval. You don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, like I'm saying, and I'm repeating once more and frequently, the circumstances were different, and it warranted interventions. I wish you could have a sense of the pressure that one was putting on Ntatenguba. And at some point, he was not even in an office, because one was gravitating towards being desperate, and without necessarily getting an indication of, say, how am I going to meet my financial obligations?
Ntatengwana, maybe let me ask this question differently. If the AG comes and says this was an irregular or a financial misconduct, you approved something that you are not empowered by legislation to do, would you accept that this was a financial?
I would certainly, because AG, before he arrives at that, will be preceded by structured engagement and on a contextual presentation of material facts. If AG arrives at that, I'll concede.
So, do you believe in the principle of PFMA?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You don't sound like it, because you are saying material conditions or context matter to PFMA, which is a very worrying statement. Because PFMA is a principle document that must guide what you do. There will be a company, for an example. You see what you are saying to me? It says to me, tomorrow you'll pay stipends to learners, because the company that was supposed to pay, they ate the money. So you pay the stipend to learners, because the material conditions suggested that you must pay, even though it will be a double payment. Now, that's a very worrying statement. The correct statement here, and I think Ms. Taji had closed this matter right, that, look, in retrospect, I believe that we could have done things better, which for me was a better closing of the matter. But you go and say, no, it can't be financial misconduct. And it can be, and we know, it is a financial misconduct. Because you have accepted that if Ms. Taji has up to 3 million to pay invoices, she pays 5 million. You'll charge her for financial misconduct. Because that's you who must then approve that part. It's final. You can't say it's because she could not find me on the phone. Or she says to you, no, I could not find the administrator on the phone. Therefore, it was exception. It can be. The PFMA says, even if it's on day 30, and you have 30 days to pay, you know you'll be able to explain to the AG that I had to jump by one day because the person who was supposed to approve was not here. So now maybe answer him with that context. Let's not be defensive. This one doesn't want us to be defensive. It's about principle, the laws that we have, which is PFMA, that tells us what to do and what not to do, and that describes or defines what becomes a financial misconduct and irregularity. There's no such a thing that says exceptional circumstances in PFMA. So answer Honorable Lonzi. Honorable Lonzi.
And I think that's where I was going, Chair, that what you are trying to suggest to me, Administrator, and it's very worrying, is that if, for argument's sake, let's say Construction CETA was leasing a building somewhere as your headquarters, and then the landlord of the building then approaches one of your employees, maybe in the finance section, and says, "Eish, the bank is harassing me, I'm struggling to pay my rates." You want to suggest to me that because of those exceptional circumstances where this person is saying, if I don't get a payment now, I'm likely to even lose this building that I'm in now. You are then suggesting to me that that person can process a payment even without your signature when that payment needs your signature.
Obviously, no, Chairperson.
So you'd agree with me that there are no exceptional circumstances which would require one to do something that is outside the legislation that is there, in this case PFMA and the legislation in the department, unless you were to write to the minister or the DG and they give you something like a condonement or concurrence. I mean, they've got all these technical terms.
Correct, Chair.
So that decision simply cannot be made by yourself or the corporate service. Even worse, by yourself, because you are directly affected by this, because you are the one, immediately after you sign, you are the one who receives the notification on your cell phone. All right. No, I think we just wanted to make those points on this, Chair. The last thing I just want to understand, because there's a group of students who are always complaining to us. I think they say the name of the institution is IET or something like that. You're aware of it, yeah. So it's students who are taking electricity and plumbing learnerships. It's a 3-year program. They say they began the program 2025, is due to end in 2027. Now, they keep having problems of the stipends not coming in. So I just wanted to understand from construction center point of view, what usually leads to this? Is it that you guys are paying the money to these institutes and they are the ones who are not paying the students, or is the delay on your side? Because even now, the last time I interacted with them, there were some allowances and stipends which were not paid. And I committed to them that, no, luckily I'm meeting you on Wednesday.
I must say, EFF is one of our best skills provider, and we've never had challenges. I've not been privy to this one, but I must put on record that we changed the payment regime process at CETA for the past 3 months or so. One of the conditions that we have added before we pay any invoices, it's a contract. We never had contract at CETA. Payment were just made as and when you want, and the like. So we added a layer of protection of a contract.
Just on a light note, I'm very surprised that the administrator is saying we brought in a progressive thing now. At CETA, people used to just pay without a contract, but now we're demanding a contract. But he was paid without a contract. So clearly the administrator knows that it's very problematic to make payments without contracts, because he's saying he's introducing a new regime.
Yes,
anyway,
yeah. So EFF is one of, like I said, one of our key service providers. I must say it's credible. I'll be very much disturbed, and I'm interested to know which branch of EFF, the Cape Town, Randburg, or the I don't know which branch. I would want to have those kind of details, and then
No, I will share those
I'll
details with
accordingly
you.
respond to it.
I'm not sure of the branch because we just get emails, so I never know where in the country is it. So can I please share those details with you, and then you are able to follow up on that case?
Please, yeah, you can WhatsApp them to me.
I don't have your number, Administrator.
My number is public. 082.
No, it's okay, Administrator. He will WhatsApp to you.
Maybe the chair will send it to me. No, thank you. My last question is that we once had a very problematic system with the manufacturing and engineering CETA of the tranche system. I was wondering if you guys are utilizing the same thing, because we found that to be so problematic, because essentially these training centers could be paid up to 50% of the money without doing any work. And we found that to be very problematic.
Absolutely. I think even in, because I largely spent the better part of my career in MFMA, this thing of pre-loading, pre-funding, it doesn't exist. So in the construction CETA, it doesn't. We pay per successful milestone. That's why we are strengthening the contract management, but also it's part of the DG policy. You start a contract, you perform. I need to tell you will start, and then you will do good, and then we evaluate, then we perform. But there's been those pressures coming from the sector, I must say, that are pushing for the tranche payment. Some proposal of tranche payment that have been proposed are largely coming from the TVETs. So you might want to treat them differently. But the principle is performance-based payment system monthly. So that's why we even paying almost weekly. Thank you, Chairperson.
No, thanks. No, I think I'm happy with that. Thanks.